I'd love to
So
hear it.
which would you guys prefer? Would you like to do workflow or template modification?
Workflow is what I would appreciate, but and then, looking at Charlie and all, I know I'm probably the rookie of the bunch.
I was
Yeah, no.
thinking workflow also.
Yeah, let's go through workflow. So can you guys see the PowerPoint here?
Mm-hmm.
Let me get it in slideshow mode. So this will be a little bit more presentation-like than some of our Scriber meetups, but we'll work through it here a little bit. I think you'll have some fun with this. So this was just kind of thoughts, because to me, I'm one of these inspectors that always used a camera and a voice recorder, right? And I swore up and down I would never use a telephone to do my reports. I was just indignant about that and thought it was crazy. And now here I am with a mobile app and all this stuff. And the mobile app's incredible. I mean, it saves you so much time. It's just unbelievable. So I would encourage anybody that doesn't use a mobile device to really start getting comfortable with it. If you're brand new on Scriber, I actually think it's best to just start on the desktop version, because adding the mobile is just another thing to learn, which kind of adds another level of stress. So, my thought is like, all right, start with your desktop version until you're super comfortable with it, and then you can start adding in the mobile. But I know when I first started using a mobile app, and maybe you guys have memories of doing this, I was sort of paralyzed when I would show up on site, because I never really know what I should be doing on site as I went and what I should be doing back home in the office. Is that, you guys all struggle with that a little bit? I mean, it's hard, right? Like you could do everything on site, but certain things are like not nearly as efficient as other things to do on site. And so because I now have a software company and I'm like a mobile device and all these things, I started putting a lot of thought into like, okay, oh, hey, Brian, how are you, man? Nice to see you on here. And we got Marshall, I think, joined in, and Taylor. Hey, how are you guys? Welcome. So anyway, I started putting a lot of thought into like, well, how do I want to work on my mobile device? What am I going to get done? And a great thing has happened to me recently that's really helped me eke a lot more speed and efficiency out of my data collection is by thinking carefully about this, I make decisions very quickly of what I'm going to do back in the office and what I'm going to do on site. And it's really liberating once you kind of mentally get your head around that. So I kind of put together some slides around this. So we'll kind of walk you through it here. This is just some stuff about me that you guys don't care about. And we can probably get through that. So do we want to use a mobile device? Should I complete the report on site? That's kind of what we're getting into. So to me, these are kind of the factors that are like, hey, we got Eric Smith on here. How are you, Eric? Maybe I'll see you in Kentucky here one of these days. So to me, like this idea of what am I going to do on site? I mean, you can't even control it, can you? I mean, you could you can have the greatest plan in the world, and then this gray one here, like the client shows up and has 50,000 questions and won't leave you alone. I mean, all of a sudden, like you can't get anything done on the report on site, right? I mean, you could go hide on the roof, or get down in the crawl space or something, but certain clients can be really hard. How much time do you have? Maybe Fred's got a commercial job on the other side of town he's got to get to, right? And so then you're in data collection mode. You're not trying to fill out the report because you like got to get someplace else, How big or complex is the building? I mean, when I've done like 10,000 square foot houses, I can't even remember where I was in the beginning of the inspection. It's just, it's too much. And so those, I often have to assemble a lot of stuff at home later. So to me, these are all these kind of like floating variables and this is partly like that answer to the question of like, how much do you get done on site? And does anybody on here do reports completely on site? Yeah, I wouldn't think it. You hear about this online, and my only understanding of how that could possibly work is that they live in like Las Vegas or something, where all the houses are the same. I mean, they're all slab on grade, so you don't have a crawl space or a basement, and probably once you've done a few thousand of them, you could fill out half the report before you even show up, right? It's like a certain development. They're all stamped out. They're like all the same age, you know, it's like a virus spread through the desert. Anyway, but those of us, I think most of us are in like northern climates with weird things that happen. So I really can't imagine trying to do a report only on site. I could see getting a lot of it done, but only on site seems ludicrous. So I put a few kind of slides together and stuff showing this. This is one thing you guys, you might want to just snap a picture of it, but this has been like a helpful thing for me is just, these are things that whenever the system is sitting right in front of me, I try to get it done on the app and be completed with it if I can. And so to me, that would be like the electric panel, right? I don't have to chase bits of the electric panel all around the house. It's sitting there right in front of me. I can like take pictures of everything. I can open up, I can see everything I need right there. And so there's, you know, and most of my pre-made comments work really well for all the defects that I'm going to find. So electric panel, water heater, kitchens, bathrooms, plumbing items, garages, attics. These are kind of honey holes for me of like, yeah, you know, if there's not somebody pestering me, I can really get these done as I go and like be kind of done with them. I might end up flagging a few things. There could be a couple weird things to deal with, but by and large, I can do these.
Hey, Dylan,
Yeah.
you should talk about that ability to flag things because that really impacts what you might decide to do or not do.
No, that's a good call, and I actually have some stuff on that, so we'll bring that up here in a sec. So, well, what you guys have probably seen this video, anybody that's been around, but this video shows me doing a water heater, so this gives you some idea of kind of just doing the report as you go on the app, and you'll see live. Oh wait, you guys probably can't hear it, can you? Could you hear that? All right, I gotta reshare. Hang on a sec. I gotta find my Zoom controls. Where are you, Zoom controls? All right, new share. I want to get you guys back on my. All right, I got you guys back, so we should be good. So what you're looking at here before I play it is on the right-hand side is the mobile app. On the left-hand side is the desktop. So you'll see kind of filling out a water heater, but you'll also see kind of the live syncing that happens, which is pretty amazing on Scribe, where in theory, you could have somebody back in the office, like writing your reports for you practically as you went. That would require good internet connection. So this is all like on Wi-Fi, but in my house here, a water heater. So I just want to show you using the mobile app, and you should see the other screen, how it just comes in on the desktop. So this is a GE water heater. I like to include a picture of the data plate. I'm just going to snap this picture. Just include that right in the report. This is a tank, 50 gallons. It is a GE water heater, and this one's from 04, so that's getting pretty old. So you can see the orange here for 04, and that's going to say, you know, this water heater is getting close to the end of its life. So it's populating a narrative right as I push that. This is an electric water heater. It does have straps, and it does have a pad. It does not have a drain pan, and I'd like to recommend one. So under pan, drain pan, none noted. And we're sorry. Attach a picture to this. It's in a finished space where a leak could damage things, so we're going to recommend a drain pan. It does have an expansion tank present, and the pressure relief valve is present, and that's going to give us this narrative that's going to come up. And then they're using corrugated supply connectors, which we know is not really the best. It's also not sloped to drain, which is a little bit worse. So I'm going to hit not slope to drain. I've got my narrative pops up. We'll get a picture of the TPRV that's not slope to drain, and we're kind of done with that. If we want, we can come up and test this. See if the expansion tank still has. You guys test the pressure tanks in it? Not bad. 2004.
Dylan, if I
Alright.
see a pressure tank, something's really wrong
All right.
in
What's
our
that?
area.
Oh,
We see
really?
yeah, it's not in the Northeast.
Huh. Interesting. They're required, aren't they? I mean,
If it's a closed system, some means of thermal expansion is required. It doesn't have to be a tank, but it could be thermal expansion control device or some other
Yeah.
means.
yeah.
We just
Yeah,
don't see them.
both plumbing codes require.
Understand we're still on 2015 building code, and
Interesting.
everything here is international residential code.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't use UPC at all.
Well, anyway, just
Yeah, I've
to
never
fit.
seen one.
Oh, really? That's so interesting. Funny how all
Yeah.
the regional this stuff is, you know. They're on like every water heater here, man. We got more expansion tanks than you can shake a stick at. And they always lose their charge on the air bladder, but that's cool to know. But the point here is like you see how the water heater, all the defects fit into little narrative comments really easily. I've got a lot of that stuff built right in little check boxes, and I can like check a box, take a picture, and you know, I can really be done with the water heater if I take a few extra seconds while I'm on site to actually do that. Brian, I noticed you put a question in the chat about the library of pre-made comments. So if you download Scriber, it comes with a default library that's got all the comments in it. And then I can go through later in this presentation or today, we can talk about starting modifying that and starting to tweak it and stuff. But it comes all set up with comments as like a place to start. So then we can unpack that a little more. But does that make sense, guys, on workflow? So like, to me, I found speed and like almost just the sense of satisfaction of being able to quickly determine, yeah, these are the things I'm going to get done on the report. And other things I'm not going to get done on the report. I'm going to do them back at home. So is that helpful, guys? That list, where is it? That one. That's my honey hole of like what I'm going to get done. And I think when you quickly identify that, it's kind of liberating. You know, now you're like, all right, here it is, the water heater. I'm going to pound it out. The electric panel, I'm going to pound it out. All the kitchens and bathrooms. And it's great. Then when you get back to the office, you kind of know there's a lot less stuff you have to fiddle with. So that's kind of step one. And then step two, you know, for me, complex systems, I find it much easier to assemble the comment later. And it's not that I can't do it on the mobile app. It's just that to me, it's just not efficient. And so what I mean by what I'm thinking complex systems like moisture control problems, structure problems, decks and siding, you know, they often have a lot of interrelated pieces. There might be a lot of defects with the same system, and I want to be specific about where I'm finding them. So I just find it liberating to kind of my on-site procedure with this, because that's what we're talking about here, is I take pictures and I caption them. So if you don't use a mobile device now, the absolute killer thing about mobile devices is voice to text. I can't tell you how good it is. And if, you know, so here's the problem if you're a home inspector. Have you guys ever tried to dictate a paragraph that you would want somebody's attorney to read? It's really freaking hard, right? I mean, it's not easy at all. But we have these techniques that I'll show you guys in Scriber where all I'm doing with voice to text is captioning the defect and putting the location. And that's it. So, you know, and how this would look is, you know, I've got my phone out, I take a picture and then I click on the little microphone and I say, you know, wood decay noted at the southwest corner of the entry deck. And then you hit stop, you know, and save that. And so a lot of my stuff can come in then. I'm saving my pictures pre-captioned. So check this out. This is another video where I'm kind of editing and fiddling with one, but we call this photo captions to bullets. And this is kind of a unique Scribeware feature. And where this saves you a ton of time is complex systems or multiple defects on the same system. And think about it, like this is the hard stuff on your home inspection. The easy stuff is like a slow drain. You need straps on the water heater, that no GFCI protection, right? Those are really easy things. But how about when you have a house with 17 electrical problems, or 6 roofing problems, or 19 deck problems, right? I mean, aren't those the hard comments that like eat up a lot of our time? So kind of watch this video, and I think you'll hopefully get some good stuff out of it.
Hey guys, just wanted to show you, this is, if you're new to Scribeware, this is kind of a unique thing where we use bulleted lists. We sort of call it gunny sacking. It's really a fabulous way to report on things like roofs, siding, decks, electrical issues, where you have a single system like the roof, and there's a whole bunch of different repair items needed to it, and even maybe observations you want to make that aren't repair items. So if you are familiar with Scriber, you probably use this a lot. I want to show you editing one of these. So what I did to make this comment is I hit this box that this is a newer composition roof, but that repairs are needed. So it gives me a repair item here, and it's basically, this was what populated with that comment. Let's get rid of all these bullets weren't there. So this is what populated. I dropped a bunch of pictures in, and then I hit this button up here, and that makes a bulleted list of all my photo captions. The thing that's nice about this is when your inspection process becomes out in the field, using the mobile app, snapping a picture, using voice to text to simply caption the defect. The dryer vent got lifted here, and the cracked this cap, the roof anchor cover is missing. There's some peaking shingles, and there's a vent flashing that's not properly seated. There was so anyway, I'd come in and I had made this, and I thought I was done with it, and then I was going through editing, because I did all that on the mobile app. You can hit this little button on the mobile app, and then back in the office editing, and I realized, man, there's actually the most important one I forgot to put in there. So, and I can resequence this photo. I'm going to drag it to the top. So now I've got all the little defects that I found with the roof. I put my cursor here. I make the list again, and you can do, if you want, this is so fast to make a really good comment. You can edit some things. So this one's really bothered the client. This was a 1-year anniversary inspection. So I might go and put this one in red, and that sort of emphasizes that. A number of peaking shingles were noted. These may not be worth correcting now. That's kind of true. So this would be, if you read this, this is, a comment you can add that is adding a layer of detail but not making a big deal out of it. So a number of peaking shingles were noted on the south face of the roof. These may not be worth correcting now, but make shingles more vulnerable to wind damage over time. So the nice thing is you don't have to call that a repair item or not, right? Here's the picture we're dealing with, and these peaking shingles, and I don't love that. Is it worth trying to fix that at this point? Probably not. And so how a lot of people do reports with other softwares is write these individual repair items on there or not, and you're stuck with this conundrum of like, well, should I call this out or shouldn't I? It's a lot easier using this technique. Like once you find a couple things like this that you want to really fuss about, well, you can throw in some little stuff and I'll even said this might not be worth fixing, but I'm recommending getting a roofer out, and here's a bunch of the things I noted. It sort of takes you out as an inspector of having to make sort of the final call on a bunch of things when you can use this gunny sacking technique. So anyway, I hope this video helps. It shows you using.
Is that helpful, guys? You kind of see how this technique can kind of get you some cover. It allows you to, like, if you can glob onto some really big things to put in there, then you can throw in some little stuff too. I mean, and yet it also provides a lot of detail for the client. You've got, hey Chris, how are you, buddy? And then again, the whole point of this, the whole purpose of this is like trying to help everybody think about and maximize their workflow. And I think well, let's go back to the slide real quick. But siding deck structure problems, moisture control problems, I use this technique all the time. I also use it for electrical problems quite a bit. And in fact, that's one of my favorites, right? If there's a lot of stuff wrong with the electrical system. When I read most people's reports that have a lot of electrical defects, the problem, my criticism is that it becomes very transparent that the inspector is just checking a box, because the report reads, an open splice was noted above the water heater. Hire a licensed electrical contractor to further evaluate. Loose wiring was noted in the crawl space. Hire a licensed electrical and it's just over and over again. And it's like, oh my God, and I would argue it could even be misleading, because, if you have 30 repair items with the electrical system, it's not 30 repair items. It's a major concern. There's a lot of stuff wrong with the electrical system, and there's probably other things that we didn't even find. So I think that type of checking a box behavior creates somewhat erroneous reports and misleading reports. And so I think it's a much better technique. The other sort of advantage is just speed. It's just flat out faster to do it this way. So how cool. I mean, to me, the holy grail of Scribeware, what we're in search of, is providing the illusion to the client that we were up until 4 a.m. writing the report, when in fact on the back end we were just using technology, right? Using voice to text and checking boxes and using little tricks to make it appear as though we spent all night writing that report. I did an inspection for this guy, and his son plays with soccer with my son. And I saw him the next day at the soccer pitch, and he looked at me and he was like, how long did that take you? I was like, nice, I got him, I totally, and I mean, I took some time on it, but, I totally fooled him. He thought it took me like 10 hours to do that. He just couldn't believe that I turned it around the next day, All right, so we'll move on to the next one. So this is kind of another way to think. This is a third sort of type of place. So when single systems have multiple defects, I find it easiest to capture my pictures on the mobile device and assemble the narrative later using some version of a gunny sack. So the first thing I showed you was more photo captions to bullets. And that is one of my favorite features of Scribeware. But we also have these gunny sacks, which you do need to build them. If you request from Steve my latest template, I have some built. Charlie's got a template available with tons built. Mike Paris is on here. He's got a template with a bunch of these already built out. So some Scribers, we have other Scribeware templates you could ask for and try out and stuff. Those they do sell that's their work and their property, but if you're interested. But to me, I use these particularly, Windows is one of my favorite, and I'll show you guys some other things I use for gunny sacks, but let me just show you. This is, okay, old wood windows. What are you guys thinking, right? I mean, I've done this so many times, and it's like, well, here, the video unpacks it, so watch, we've all been here.
Hey guys, I want to make a video here showing you the new gunny sack feature, and I'll be making a lot of videos around gunny sacks. So what is a gunny sack and why do we do them? So I just thought I'd bring up an example of doing an old house. So whenever I do an old house, I always sort of dread the windows. Usually they're sort of fine and working, but we're supposed to document their condition, and I find that there's single pane glass, there's missing window hardware, there's missing sash weights, there's guillotine windows the whole sash will slam shut. There's cracked panes of glass, there's loose hardware, there's missing hardware, there's windows painted shut. And if you're like a lot of home inspectors, you end up with this long list of different repair items, and you end up with 7 or 8 different repairs under Windows. And to me, it's just kind of one system with a bunch of different defects. So let me show you how I report on that, and I think it'll help the gunny sack.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. I was letting somebody
character are often worth preserving in the windows, a few of the windows. It's a lot more accurate. Rather than having 7 or 8 comments under Windows, you just have one that, a bunch of repairs are needed. So I'm going to use this inspector-only note that I built for old wood windows, that gunny sack. So I'm going to check that. So we'll read it. Some of the windows in this home are, and this is text replacement. So I can double click on that. Some of the windows, all the windows, most of the windows, a few of the windows. So some of the windows in this home are old wood windows that require maintenance and repair. You need to decide how you want to approach these windows in this home, as they're generally older and do not comply with modern standards for safety, glass, and energy efficiency. Repairs can be made on an as-needed basis and efficiency added with storm windows and curtains. Existing windows that have character are often worth preserving and restoring, where windows that are in worse condition and have less character may be good candidates for replacement. The windows are in fairly typical condition for old wood windows. And I might even replace wood, let's just say, for old windows. I'm going to update the comment so that's even better. So now here's my gunny sack, and I'm going to double click on this, and I've made a whole list of all the stuff we run into. So some of the windows in this home are not operating, maybe painted shut. Missing glazing was noted. That wasn't an issue here. Many of the windows are single pane glass. Now, what's really cool about this feature is if I want to, they will display in the order that I click them. So I might start with the single pane glass comment. Some of the windows may be painted shut. We'll check that one. Some of the windows are located in areas that would require safety glazing. There were guillotine windows. There were some disconnected sash ropes, loose hardware, missing hardware. Paint was fine. There were some cracked panes of glass. So boom. I just added all of that specific stuff to that one comment. And notice I'm not saying these are the only problems. I'm just saying examples of repairs and observations noted during inspection. So it's a nice way of being vague and specific simultaneously. So my procedure now when I'm on site with the mobile app is often when I see a system like this that's broken apart all over the place, I know how fast my gunny sacks are, and I can do all this on the mobile, but I prefer to just save myself time when I'm on site, and I just take a picture and caption it. Now, I know people, think that on-site reporting is the holy grail, but watch how quick this is. Back on my desktop, I can go through and highlight all these things. So I'm grabbing all these pictures and dragging them in. Now you could have actually selected the gunny sack comment, old wood windows. I could have probably checked that right before I showed up. And I could have actually just put all of those pictures in here as I went. So either way, either technique works, but I'm finding that for speed, it's almost just faster to just leave them in my gallery and dump them in later. So now I've got these beautiful layers of information, a general statement, some more specific things noted, and then, on the photo captions, I'm just trying to put the location of the issue noted. And we can resequence these if we want. Notice that we've got the missing sash weight. I could bring this one up, and we could open it up and even, annotate the picture a little. Describe it. And again, when I'm captioning, I'm trying to just describe the defect and the location. And that process on site saves me a ton of time knowing that I have this gunny sack in my back pocket. But look how much detail we added so quickly. We checked a few boxes, we dragged a few pictures in, and we've got 10 different pictures with a bunch of captions.
So I'm just pausing it, guys. Was that helpful? Do you kind of see, and with workflow, you see the problem with like something like Windows is that they're not all in front of you. So if you try to do that on the mobile app, you're going to waste a lot of time. Like you're going to do one. Okay, well, you see a window with a lost seal. Were there one or there 50 of them? I have no idea yet because I just started. And so which comment are you going to choose? I've always been amazed that people do this on-site reporting. Like, how about a roof? I mean, I don't know what the heck I'm going to say about a roof till I'm done looking in the attic. So, and I got to walk the whole thing, and then I'm going to look at it at the eaves, and then I'm in the attic. So I just, there's certain things like a roof that I will often I find it much more efficient to assemble a comment once I actually know what I'm going to say about it, and to me, that involves like, I got to keep looking, so going back to kind of my list here, windows, electrical repairs, roofing, interior touch-up, heating and cooling is another one that, like, God, That system's blown apart all over the house, right? There's a for HVAC in the garage. There's a heat pump outside. There's a thermostat in the living room. There's ducts in the crawl space. There's ducts in the attic. There's filters in the cold air return. I mean, so trying to like get that right, that comment on site is very difficult because you constantly have to like scroll back to that section. And I just found that I ended up wasting a lot of time moving around in the report. Mike Paris, what do you think about some of this? Because I know Mike's down in Kentucky. He's got a template he's produced, and I know he optimizes speed. He's got a lot of efficiency. So is this a workflow that you kind of do, Mike?
Yes, for just about, yeah, basically almost exactly the same thing. We kind of keep on the move as we go, and by the time we get from the front left corner to the front right corner, we already have all our information in as we walk along. And by the time we get around to the other side or whatever, our report is being filled out rather quickly. And there's many times, you get in those situations when you're not really positively sure of what to say, like what you said. So we'll just open a blank comment or observation, and then that's where we'll throw our photos. We'll just snap the photos in, put the captions in, and just flag it and go on. And when we get back to the office, we could go straight to that observation and complete it. So that's the way we work it.
That's awesome. Why don't I show you guys flagging? Let's see. Well, I'll keep going through. We'll get to flagging because that's a really important part of the whole thing. So the other thing I really try to get done on site, and I'm sure, Mike, you do this, is just what I call the required fields. So, things like, these are SOP things. So where I filled in wood for trim material under siding and trim, it used to be red, and that red kind of went away when I clicked wood. So when I choose a siding material, that red will go away. So, but these are like our SOP, like kind of, thou shalt describe, right? This is the stuff we're supposed to put in our report. So I try to get all of my descriptions done on site, and then I try to get that kind of 50% of the report done on site. And I don't sweat the other 50% because I'm much more comfortable, and I think it's just faster and more efficient for me to finish that stuff at home. Mike and Kaylin are often working as a team on a house, and I think that would be fun. I mean, it would let you probably get a higher percentage of stuff done on site, I would think.
Yeah, we have the majority of the report is completed by the time we leave.
That's
and
cool.
Especially by the time we get back to the house there. I would say probably anywhere from 85 to 95% of the report's already completed and filled out.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And everything else that we have to fill out is going to be rather simple. So.
And I glossed over this in the beginning, but if speed, like, this is such a complicated thing because to me, the amount of detail you want to put in the report slows you down or speeds you up. So a lot of this is like, if you're finding that it's slower, you can start rewriting comments to be more general. So, with lost seals, you could, the classic one, I don't love this personally, but is, one or more lost seals were noted on the building. This is when the glass gets condensation, have all lost seals repaired. Well, now you just dump your pictures in and you're done with it, and that's a lot faster. So, and I don't have any beef with that. I mean, these are like the business decisions that we all make. My objective from a sort of Scribeware standpoint is trying to sort of like help you get clues of how you can mold it to fit how quickly you want to move and how much detail you want. That helpful, guys? So that's the required fields, and I'll show you guys some of this stuff. So there's some newer people that haven't used Scribeware. So how our mobile app works is when you take a picture, it automatically goes into the gallery. If you open a comment and take a picture, then the photo will go directly into that comment. And that is really cool because you support on the mobile device both workflows. You know, if the client's riding you and you can't deal with the report, you just take pictures. They'll end up in the gallery and you'll deal with it later. If you've got time to actually do the report, then you select the comment you want and then take the picture, and the comments will go right into it, just like I showed you on that mobile app video. So we'll open up a report in a little bit and I'll show you the flagging, but we have an ability to flag a comment. So it's a great way to review a report. And I have kind of a perfect report I can open up and show you guys there. And this is kind of what I was driving at, is like, if speed is the question, it's sort of how much do you want to put in all your comments, right? Like, is every single comment going to handle how many? Where are they? How severe is it? How urgent is it? Is it even worth correcting at all? How expensive is it? How complex is it? How risky is it? I mean, these are like, all in theory, like a great comment is going to handle most of this stuff. Sometimes it's not really worth, I personally don't have like a paragraph comment for a slow drain. I just like, a slow drain's noted. It's probably something stuck in the drain, fix it, but there could be other things. It could be venting problems, you could unpack a lot of other things in there, but I hope this list is helpful. You can always snap a picture of it, but I mean, in theory, to me, these are like a lot of the questions that you're trying to answer for the client, and the amount of time you spend. If in each one of your comments you handle each one of these questions, you now have a much longer report that took you a lot more time to write. And I'm not advocating that you have to do this. It's just food for thought of like, all right, how fast are we moving? You guys, do you feel this like, do you feel this like with your own business decisions of like how quickly or not quickly you're moving through a report? Yeah, anybody? All right, let's so we'll get out of this PowerPoint real quick. I'm gonna stop this. Let's see. And we'll open up Scriber. Can you guys see my screen now? You see Scriber? Cool. Yep. So this is a report that I did just a couple days ago, and the client was not there. Or no, he was there. He was there, and the agent was meeting me at the end, but it was a pre-listing inspection. So the client was not like sort of hounding me. I had a lot of time to my own, especially in the beginning of the inspection. So this gives you some sense. Over here is the media bar. Everything with a green check mark I would have already used in the report. So this gives you some sense of the number of pictures that I used in the report on site as I went. So you see how on the exterior, I didn't use a bunch of things. I didn't use them in the report. And then when I got into the garage, I'm like, all right, this is my honey hole. I can get a lot of this stuff done. So like all of a sudden everything's used, right? I got green check marks by the electric panel, by the water heater, by the furnace, all that stuff I just did on site. The fresh air fan system I did on site. I did a bunch of the roofing on site, a couple interior pictures. That interesting for you guys to see, just, it looks like I did most of the attic on site. And then crawl space, I almost never get the crawl space done on site because by the time I'm done with that, everybody's there and wants to go and stuff. So I always have to finish the crawl space at home. So now this is a feature, but show all media up here. If I uncheck that, all those ones with the green check marks disappear. So they're still there. You haven't lost them, but this is like, most of us use our photos as kind of our first layer of like, okay, I'm done with the inspection when I don't have any more photos in here. And if you have a bad photo that you don't want to use, you could highlight it and you come up to that little hide media and that'll just make that one disappear. Is that how most of you guys and gals work? Do you guys, just sort of go down your photos, writing the report at a certain point? Fred doesn't do that. How do you do it, Fred?
I like the mobile app for certain things. Both me and my other inspector, he really drove my point home one day when I showed him the mobile app And he looked at me and he goes, if I play with that on site, he goes, I'm not inspecting.
Mhm.
He goes, because I'm spending too much time playing with the app. But we take all our photos and we bring them over in Dropbox because we're including photos of items that are good as well. Because of how we're writing the report to cover our backside as well. Because you and I just went through putting in a bunch of my comments for items that are in working condition.
Mhm.
So we're doing it all on the desktop. So we like keeping those photos for 5 years. We've got hard drive backups. We got stacks of external hard drives right now. And they're all labeled with notes as to what years they go to. But we like doing it that way. So the photos are someplace besides Scribeware that we can go, here you go, Your Honor. Here's all the photos that were taken that day.
Sure. And just so you know, I mean, so everything is backed up in the cloud on Scribeware. If we lose data in Scribeware, then America and Russia have gotten into a pretty bad scuffle, or I mean, there's some really bad stuff happening if that goes down. So God help us all. But yeah, I mean, and everything is automatically backed up on your machine as well. So Scribeware is phenomenal for reducing data loss. Like, it really doesn't happen hardly at all. So, but you can back it up in other places. So that's, and I know Charlie puts his stuff right into PowerPoint and then drags things in from PowerPoint because he likes to edit his photos in PowerPoint first. One of the incredible things about Scribeware is I always made these videos assuming like, okay, guys, here's how you do photos. And then every single scriber I meet does photos differently. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, every conceivable way of managing photos, like someone comes up with a different way of doing it. So I'm happy to help, like, tell you how I do it. But, boy, there are more ways to do that than there are, stars in the universe. Chris, did you have a question or comment or?
Yeah, and excuse me if this has already been answered, but I'm very traditional. I still do everything on my desktop. My inspections are long enough without, trying to incorporate this because, like Fred said, I would be there all day, playing with it. But I was actually curious, when you have this in your media right now, Dylan, you have some of these captions say the rain caps on. I can't read them all in your media. But where did you put those? Did you do that on site, that you put those, and that's why they appear in your media like that?
Yeah, that's right. So I took that picture on the mobile device, I captioned it using voice to text, and then I moved on to the next thing, and it automatically went into my gallery. So when I got back,
and simultaneously saved your captions too.
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
So now I can start assembling this. Okay, well, let's just do one so you can see it. So we'll go into the roof section. And we'll go down to my gutters and downspouts. And it looks like I actually had a couple pictures. So I did some of this already. And then see how I flagged it, guys? Yeah, there's a little flag right here. So this is pretty cool. You see over here where it says review items 65? You guys all see that? So now in Scriber, you can set required fields and you can flag things. So when I flag this, now I have 66 items to review. When I uncheck that flag, I have 65 items to review, and I'll unpack this a little bit more. So this was flagged, so I'll unflag it because we're going to finish this comment. The gutter system on this building's done with a cap system. I know I want that picture, and I know I want that picture. And that's probably why I flagged it, is I knew I was going to end up tweaking this. And, maybe you want to add some stuff here, like a little nice ellipse there. You could even caption this. Yeah, look, this caption just came right in. Water stains on the ground indicate water has been shooting over the gutters during heavy rains.
I would add that you can control that ellipse too, so you can create your own version. You could use a yellow overlay or some other color, right?
Oh yeah, for that. Yeah, so you guys want to check that out? You mean on the editing here, the photo editing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so check it out. Like, we could do an ellipse here, and then you can do different fill colors.
What I was getting at is that it remembers yours.
Yeah.
if you want to keep them all the same and
Yeah, and
consistent.
you can do different colors and stuff. I like my little blue with the red, but you can get different lines around. So there's really a lot of stuff you can do now. We've got a pretty killer photo editor. We also have a magnifier. So you add highlight here, and then you can zoom in on some stuff. And then you can annotate that, so we can give it like a little red outline, and we can do a little line. See, not nice? That helpful, guys? So there's really quite a bit of editing stuff. There's even some like fine tuning things, which you don't really need it for this picture, but you know, sometimes the picture doesn't come out as well as you want, and you can come in here. I've resurrected some pictures that just weren't as good as I wanted them using some of these fine tuning things. You can even give the picture a frame around the box. This would start getting time consuming, but you can like put these around all your pictures if you want to. Kind of fun. We're getting close to what Charlie can do on PowerPoint. We're still not quite there, but you can do quite a bit of stuff.
You can do it a lot quicker though.
And Dylan, the flags that you refer to, are you using that as your own tool to double check this stuff when you're on your desktop when you get home?
That's correct. So watch, we'll do this. So I can flag a comment on my mobile device if I know I need to go back to it. And that's kind of what Mike Parrish was talking about. Like, you know, he's getting 90% done, but he might have a couple comments that he knows he needs to go tweak, or Kaylin knows. And so they'll use the little flag so they know they need to go back there. But I can hit this review item here, and it's going to start bringing me through my whole template, finding the required fields that I haven't filled in. So this was a one-story house. Like this was just the seller and listing agent. It was unoccupied. There were no animals present. It was cloudy. It was 40 degrees. Soils were damp. Front door faces south. Right. So now, and you notice with every one of those, I'm getting rid of these required fields. Now, if you guys don't want some of this stuff in your template, it's really easy to get rid of these things. You can get rid of it. You can add on to it. The template is basically unlimited in its ability to be modified. And that's kind of where I was going with, like, you know, at the end of the day, how fast you go is kind of how much detail you want to put in, how much, you know, what do you want in the template? What do you not want in the template? So when I hit next here, that's going to start cruising through the report and going to the next place in the template. So there were no patios here, so I had missed that one. I'll show you this gunny sack. This is kind of a cool one, but you see this was a crack here at the entry of the house. So I have a general crack comment. Cracks were noted in the, and this is text replacement. So I could do walkway, patio, patio and walkway, driveway. So in this case, it was the walkway. Regular sealing of small to moderate cracks with a quality exterior flexible sealant can minimize water penetration and prolong the life of the flatwork. Large cracks can present a more urgent need for repair, especially if the cracks lead to displacement and trip hazards. So notice how I have the yellow thing. Well, I can click on that. If there's nothing filled in here, nothing will print here. That little funny pen will not show up in the report. If I double click on this, I can choose from things. And this is one of my favorite ways to use gunny sacks, because now you can add these layers of nuance super quickly. Like, well, how big of crack was it? Was it a big deal, or do you not really care? Well, I could say, please note the cracks in the flatwork have created displaced surfaces and possible trip hazards. Or I could use, please note the flatwork has settled in as a possible trip hazard. No immediate repair appears necessary. The water will continue to deteriorate the surface till the driveway is repaired or replaced. And I can edit this. Like driveway, I should actually have it say flatwork, because that'll work in every case, right? So I will edit this to flatwork, and I will hit save. And then I'm going to hit update library. and it's going to ask me if I want to include the media when I save it. Well, I don't want to include that picture because that's a picture that I just took on a job. I don't want that to show up the next time I use this comment. So I'm going to choose no. That makes sense. And I've kind of improved my little gunny sack comment. But do you see how these gunny sacks, you can start adding these little nuanced sort of side comments that really start bringing in a whole new level of detail really quickly. Is that helpful, guys? Useful?
Is the gunny sack an alternate thing other than just the alternate text, or is it just you're using
so
that
that's a
term to
good
describe
question. It's almost the same as the ultimate tech. So the only difference, let me show you. When we go under walkway here, when we edit this one, so I'm choosing walkway patio. How you start building a gunny sack is you allow multiple selections. And then this is the big one is either bullets or numbered. And that's going to let you have like a title, and then you can have a whole group of things below it. Does that make sense? If I'm not doing multiple selections, it's just a basic text replacement. But you build your gunny sacks using, this is the way you would build a text replacement. So you can highlight a word or a paragraph or a sentence, whatever you want, and then come up here and you can start making lists of alternate text there.
You can also delete that word entirely and just put a different word there if it's not on your list.
That's correct. You mean like in here, you can edit it?
I was thinking of cracks, the word cracks. If you want to change that, you could make it, I don't know, bananas if you wanted.
Yeah.
Just, it doesn't have to be something on the list that's there.
Yeah.
Dylan,
Yeah.
with the gunny sack, there are you can have multiple areas of highlighted text replacement areas, correct?
Yeah.
Where I could have structural of the deck, railing system, decking, stairs. That way I could just pick all the things that are wrong with that deck.
Let me unpack this is a newer gunny sack comment that I will probably never be finished with, but let me see if
I love it.
I'm shying away from some gunny sacks because it's a lot of stuff, you know.
But it can be a rabbit hole.
It can be. They can be a lot of stuff. So honestly, for wiring, I'm trending towards photo caption to bullet rather than a gunny sack as just for more speed and accuracy. But I'll unpack this gunny sack. I'm just kind of deleting these. So this is the way the gunny sack, if I come up here and hit update library, now the next time I choose this is a comment I pre-built, which is numerous repairs needed. That's kind of what it'll look like when it's all cleaned up. And now it's like, look, I've got all these columns I could choose from. So this comment is overall numerous defects and red flags are noted with the wiring system. If I want, I could change this to a major concern. I could go click on this and say a number of or a few. Maybe there's just a few things, and then you could call it a repair item. So you see how, I mean, you could almost just have one electrical comment. It's so flexible. And then say examples of defects found during inspection are included in the electric chapter as repair items and also include. Well, I can start clicking on these. So branch wiring and wiring cables, open wires noted, open junction boxes noted, running splices noted, inadequate cable support, physical damage, rodent damaged wiring, wiring near the attic access. I mean, we've all done houses where like this, all these, right? Have you guys done this house? You know, and it's
3 times this week. I think I did that house.
Yeah, right. I mean, this can start letting you put an insane amount of detail in really quickly. But you can also use the photo captions. They're both great techniques for managing multiple defects on the same system. And how you build this comment, just to kind of unpack it, is we're going to open up not that one.
Some of this level of detail also has another purpose, just to check yourself or for newbies to even learn what they're not seeing. So that's That's the only reason anybody would ever want my template is as a tool, not as something you'd ever want to do an inspection with, probably.
Nobody's as patient as you are, Charlie.
Charlie, if any of us took your template, I think it would be a class in how to do inspections.
Well, I mean, that's in a way that's I've tongue in cheek said, yeah, if you know my template, you'll pass the NAHI easily. I mean, it's that kind of template where everything imaginable that can be wrong with a house is in there or gets added as soon as it shows, you know.
Which you pretty much just comment on the defects that are present that you find, correct?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah,
There's certain things we have to document, but generally it's mostly defects and stuff how to maintain and take care of stuff. And
yeah,
I see it as a beginner's owner's manual.
yeah, that's why we're documenting certain systems that are in working condition the way we are. And we've
Sure.
we sat down with Dylan, was it this week, last week? And we've got a bunch of comments now that are just prepackaged for HVAC systems. We've got one for boilers, one for forced air, our two common heating systems here. If there's no problems, we can literally just sit there and click. It's this type of system by this manufacturer of this age.
Any given report of mine will have 10 times as many of these descriptive things like Dylan has 2-3 of them here. Mine will have 10 times as many as any defects, and the number of defects, just informational stuff.
Yep.
So this is a little gunny sack of just a general servicing, and then you can click on it and you could add a bunch of different things. So, you know, mineralization buildup noted below the burners, orange lips in the flame, active condensate leaks. So these are a great tool to learn how to build. Like, this is the kind of stuff that just starts saving you a ton of time. I mean, it's how, like, you know, Mike and Kalen can kind of be done with the report as they go. And you can eke that kind of speed out. I don't know if I ever will, but like, still, the more I fiddle with the template, my problem is the more things like this I do, I keep adding more and more detail. And so my reports just get longer. But you know, whatever. I mean, if I wrote reports the way I did 10 years ago, I could probably get them done on site now using Scribeware. You know,
You need to block me, Dylan.
Yeah, it's your fault, Charlie.
You need to block me.
Yeah. Anyway, and does the review make sense, guys? How, you know, you just hit next and then it's going to start bringing you through, so you can, the ledger board was actually not visible in this one. So it could be not visible. Post and beam was only not fully visible. And I think I had a comment here, right? So there was something on it. I don't like when the base of the deck posts are in soil contact. So we could actually go under this. I've built in some comments here, and I can look under, because I'm under post, beams, and footings. Posts and soil contact not ideal. I probed the ones I could get to, and I didn't find any decay. So I can drag that over. This wasn't the porch, it was the deck. And I might put it as a recommended maintenance because I didn't find rot in the posts, but I would recommend they pull the soils away from the base of those posts. So that was just one that I don't know, I didn't try to do it on the mobile app. It just felt easier to do it on site. Let me show you this too. This is kind of fun. So you can use the voice to text to do your entire comment. So this is an electrical item. I'm just going to hit add new observation. I'm going to drag the comment in. I'm going to use my little photo caption trick, my bullets. I'm going to click that. And then I'm just going to lose the bullet by backspacing a couple tabs. Well, now I wrote that whole comment using voice to text on site. You know, so like you can just do, if that's, and I just kept it with the photo caption rather than like going into the actual report and writing the comment. It kept me moving more quickly on site to just take the picture and use the photo caption to gather all that data. And then I moved it over into a full comment. Does that make sense, guys? You see how I did that. So that's another technique that I use that can save me time, and kind of another, I don't know, it was just weird enough that it didn't fit into any of my boilerplate perfectly. And so I just was easier to use voice to text and caption it and move it over that way. Is that helpful?
It's always easier to change an existing comment than create a new one.
Well, that's true. In this case, this was a brand new one, right? This was like a
Yeah.
completely custom comment. If I had completely done this on site, I'd probably flag it so that I know to come back, because you do have to get careful with voice to text. Things can get a little wild on you if you're not careful, right? So that's one risk of the voice to text. Let's see. Yeah, here was one that I easily could have done on site, but like you go under the water heater, and I'll show you that if you're newer to this, we've got keyword search. So I go under the water heater, we've all found the corroded B vent above the roof line. So in the water heater section, I bet I could type in roof, and there it is, corroded flue above the roof. So this one's not urgent. Well, this one was pretty bad, so I actually need another comment, but we'll just turn it into a repair and maybe rewrite.
For those comments you want to change the modifier on often, you can have text replacement too for that.
Yep, that would be a way to do it. I might just make this into a new comment just to show you how we could do that. So all I had was kind of a monitoring one for one that wasn't too bad. So repair not urgent. So I'm going to hit these 3 dots here, guys, and I'm going to edit in library. And now I'm going to just say repair because this one's bad. So now I've got that comment. So I'm going to add as a new library entry down here. You guys all see that? See how I'm doing that? Amen. Hallelujah. And now we've got, blue and a new little blue thing. So now if I come up here, let's get rid of it. I'm going to come in and do roof. Now I've got 2 comments: corroded flue above roof, repair not urgent. I want that one. And oh, look, it saved my, so I need to actually watch what it saved my picture with it, which I didn't mean to do. So if I do just any little edit here, I can hit update library, and now it'll ask me, do I want to include the media? No. And so then the next time I retrieve this comment, it won't have that picture attached. It's still attached for this report, but not for the next report, if that makes sense.
That's a really good trick.
Yeah. That makes sense, guys? Yeah. Well, so you guys having fun with this? Twisted sense of humor, sense of what's fun for home inspectors.
Yeah, right.
I find this stuff fun. All right, so here was another, like the downspout disconnected, right? So we could use voice. I love the keyword search. Down dish. There it is, downspout disconnected. Drag it in. Oops. I might just put a little hyphen, like, see the southeast corner of the garage. Again, these are the things that slow you up a little bit if you want to put that level of detail in. I don't mind taking the time, but this is why I spend an hour to 2 writing reports usually, something like that. Just depends on the house and how complicated. Sometimes less than an hour, but I'm usually just fiddling with stuff like this, just finishing things off. So this is a good thing for you to see. You see how I've got concrete, there was a concrete landing here at the entry. So I'm going to hit none note or noted at entry, but there were no water resistant decks here. So what I'm going to do is just hit this little check mark. That makes it go away on my reviewed items, and then this will not print in the report. So we have a few newer scribers on here, Taylor and Steve, I think. This is an important data point if you're not aware of it, that if you don't fill something out in a Scribeware report, it will not print when you go to publish it. So, and that's a huge advantage because it allows you to have, you can have all the weird shit in the world you want. I mean, I have elevators in my template, you know, and it's like, well, I don't use it hardly ever, but when I need to, it's there, you know? That's just a data point there. But what that means is, like, let's say, for example, this house doesn't have a crawl space. Well, I have all of these set as required fields. You can see the red, but all I need to do is come up to the top of the crawl space and turn it green, and they all go away. So that's an important trick if you're using the required fields as your metric. But I use this all the time. I mean, now I've got another way of checking my report. I make sure I've used all my photos, and I make sure I have no more items to review by the time I'm done. And the final piece of this, guys, that's going to be incredible is we are working on a grammar check. So we already have spell check, but a grammar check, which I don't think any other software has. So we're working on that. It's I don't know, all this stuff's so surprisingly difficult. But we're getting there. We got some designs on it, so we're getting close. But this is how I kind of review my report and finish everything out. This was another comment, this window comment, where it just wasn't latching correctly. And sometimes I find these just way easier to just speak the defect in. I drag the picture in, I hit this little button, and then I get rid of my bullet, and I'm done with it. Just speak the defect on site. The main bedroom window seems to require some adjustment, is not latching closed correctly. I don't know, I could probably have found a pre-written narrative for that or something, but sometimes it's almost just easier to speak the defect that you see in and put it in. That helpful, guys? Just pretty fast there. Whoop.
Hey, Dylan, when you do that, do you leave the caption on the photo the same as the comment then?
I do. Yeah. You could delete the one in the photo, but I don't feel like the redundancy is too awful. More than anything, what I'll end up doing is like adjust this a little bit, and I might say a little more something in that comment, but sometimes I leave it exactly the same as it's in the photo caption. We could use a gunny sack for the crawl space here if we wanted to. We could go to crawl space. We will uncheck this because there was a crawl space. Fred and I were talking earlier in the week about reporting on just like using pictures to just show the condition of things. So here I have representative photos provided. So, you know, you could use a few pictures of things that aren't necessarily wrong or defects and just put them in. I do that for most crawl spaces just to show like, hey, it wasn't dry and rodent infested and stuff. So if a crawl space actually looks decent, then I just use this little box that I've provided some complimentary photos of your crawl space. But if I were buying a house, I don't want to just see some check marks of whether, I want to know, like, what does it look like down there? Don't you? I mean, so that's my metric. But I really try to put myself of like, if I'm buying this, what do I want to know? And so I'll often put some pictures in like that. And then we'll scroll down and so I crawled this crawl space. Let's see, where was my gunny sack? I think it was up here. So cleanup company. So we'll use this one. This gives me actually two different narratives to choose from. I'm going to get rid of this one. We'll use the gunny sack comment. And then, I don't know, we can start bringing in a couple different pictures of stuff. And I think I already used this one, but it would often come in. If you want to clean up your gunny sack and start over, you can uncheck some of these boxes, and then it makes it sort of cleaner, and then you can come in and start and work your way down. But there was missing pipe insulation. There was some corrosion on some supply piping down there. This nice, all these defects all under crawl space. You can just do one comment down there. Subfloor insulation is rodent damage. Subfloor insulation is missing in places. Crawl space vents were blocked in places.
Going on a comment like this, if you want that bolded like title to show up, you have to check that box.
That's correct.
Check anything under.
Yeah. And you probably have to do it in the correct sequence. That's an excellent question. Thank you. So
you just use that kind of for you to keep your comments.
I
Sorted,
use
basically.
that's right, but you could have it show too. I mean, it could look good. You could I mean, let's do that just to see what that looks like. The important thing is if you're doing that, you want to you need the sequence of them where you do that first.
Right.
Let's see what this looks like with that. But I think it'll look good. All right, so we'll close. So now you can see you've got those. It's a little clumsy because it would be nice if you could get rid of the bullets under under those
Right.
heading ones, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, this is like the beauty of Scribeware with some of these tools is that all of our reports can all look totally different. And I think that's awesome. You know, I mean, that's to me, the goal is like, we're all doing reports that look different, you know? So the gunny sack are a cool way to, there's all kinds, you know, I know Charlie and Mike have built a lot, they'll use a lot of like emojis in them and stuff that can help offset things and make them look good. I'm not a heavy emojier myself, but it's all just style and technique and stuff. Anyway,
I have a somewhat unrelated question, if you don't mind.
yeah, shoot, I'm kind of done with, so let's hit any questions people have, and let's hit them. So
In
great.
the mobile app, I've found that if I put in a comment and then want to add pictures to that for that comment, if I edit any of the text in the comment first, I have to back out of the comment and then go back in to add the picture. At the bottom, the option for adding the picture isn't there. I didn't know if I was doing something wrong or if that's just how
Let
it
me
is.
see if I can just get in. I'm trying to get my phone into the Zoom real quick because I think I know what you're talking about, and it can get a little bit confusing. Does anybody know our meeting ID number on here? Got it somewhere. If anybody has it, you could read it to me. I can never find it there's a way to do it. I know. Invite. There we go.
I just had a link to click on it, didn't even see a number.
Yeah, that's not doing it.
Hey, for everybody, I did look up the code that, and you obviously may have amended codes too, but it's been in the IRC as far as expansion devices since 2000.
Never seen one in Connecticut, never had a code inspector call it out. We just, they
Crazy.
don't do them.
Interesting.
Thank you, TJ. You're the greatest. All right. 225.
Charlie, it once again, it's just one of those northeast versus west coast things.
Well, but it's more than that, because if you've got backflow devices in there, you're going to build up pressure in the system. There's no way around it. So you could test a water faucet, for example, and it's high, and then it goes down mysteriously, and that would be why, because there's no expansion tank.
Yeah, we hardly, about the only time we see a backflow preventer is on irrigation systems.
Well, that may be why you're not seeing them then. If you don't have pressure regulators or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, very rare that we get a pressure regulator inside a house.
We have pressure reducing valves. In those, you're not seeing those
that's
with the incoming water supply. I mean, that's a one-way valve that Charlie's talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't. Very
Interesting.
rare.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Usually the question is, how can I get more pressure? How can I get more water pressure? Move somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, this is like an out-of-body experience trying to get like it's all sorted out on here. All right, you guys can see the app, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody's hearing me okay. There's not an echo. So let's just open up a practice one. So Taylor, this was a cool question, man. So I think I know what you're doing, but it gets kind of confusing when you're deep in here.
I think it has to do with the fact that it opens up the text editing options at the bottom versus the typical, photo gallery or photo buttons.
Yeah, so let's make a comment here. Siding too close to soils. So I'll back up again. Like as soon as I click that, the reason we put the blue box up there is so that you can hit the blue box and now be in the comment so that you could put a picture in.
Right.
That's all with me so far. So you see what I did there? Like I'm going to go click. So that's 2 clicks. Now I'm in the comment. So now if I take a picture, that picture will show up in the comment with, right there with the comment. Everybody with me so far? Yeah, cool.
Yes.
So now Taylor, help me try to navigate me to where you're struggling.
Yeah, so like the most common instance for me would be if I first went into the comment like you did and I clicked up there on your alternate text options to select an alternate text before taking the picture.
Yeah.
Once I do that, I have to then back out of the comment before adding a picture.
On the desktop.
No, in the
No,
app.
he's talking about the mobile. So say that one more time, because let me just say. Go ahead, Taylor.
Like if you uncheck the siding too close to soils repair and then click it again.
Okay.
And go into the comment. And then like where you see north side and see northeast corner.
Yeah.
Like if you click on that.
Yeah.
And choose whatever alternate text you want.
Yeah.
And then close it. Well, yours didn't do that.
No, I think I know what you found
word,
actually, Tyler. And I'm trying to remember how I got there because I think I know exactly what you're talking about because it's happened to me some.
What if you changed like the last word eliminated? If you just like deleted a letter or something?
No, that'll work just fine.
And then you
can
now
go
you're done.
You can open up the picture and caption it now. So you can caption that, so you can do all of this in here.
But, so real quick, like right now, the way your screen is, if you wanted to add another picture,
then you would see how you can move this bar around, guys.
Oh, okay. I think that's what I'm missing.
Yeah, that can get confusing a little bit sometimes. So now I can come in here and I can start taking a few more pictures.
Gotcha.
So now those guys are moving in. You can click on the image, you can caption it. And again, this is my little microphone that I use. A little tip for voice to text, you guys, is I put my phone in airplane mode often, and the voice to text is a lot faster.
Airplane mode.
It gets rid of that weird initializing thing that it's so funny how crazy we are about time, right? But like,
so that you're
somebody's got a little noise going on.
Remind me.
It cracks me up how like I'm so impatient. Like, voice to text takes like a half a second of initializing, and I'm like, God damn it, That's like, but it does. It takes time. So if you put it in airplane mode, it won't do that initializing thing. It's so fast. It's just incredible. I would show you guys, but it's super frustrating. I can't show voice to text while I'm zooming. I need to make some videos. I think I can show it there, but anyway. So I'm trying to mentally, because I want to help you, Tyler, because I think you're right.
No, you have helped me.
Okay,
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that when you were in there and you had the bold or italicized options that you could scroll back to the photo.
Yeah, that you can scroll around in there. So that really helps. But I feel like you're also talking about one other thing that I just don't know. I occasionally get myself there, and you have to apply. The word apply comes up, and I'm trying to, let me just try one thing here. Oh, I know what it is. I think it's when so you guys see the little stack of books at the top. I can search for a comment with the stack of books. So let's say I'm choosing sewer line, not sleeved. If I see how I did that, you guys, all right, this is what I was thinking you might have been seeing, Tyler. So this is really cool. Like from up here, if I hit my stack of books, I can literally see all the comments in my library, and I could do a keyword search to find something. So I'll type in the word sleeve, and it's going to find the sewer line not sleeved. I've got a couple comments. So now I choose one of them. Now you see how it says the word add up there at the upper right. If I try to edit this comment now before I click add, it won't save it correctly. And so I've done this a few times. So the trick is hit add first. Now it's in the report, and I can come in and open it up and start fiddling with it and put pictures and all the rest of it. But if you see that little add thing on there, it's not actually in the report. You've sort of selected it from the library, and it's sort of hovering in cyberspace. It's not really in there yet. So you need to add it first, and then you can start editing it and putting your pictures in and stuff. Does that make sense, guys? That's actually really cool that I captured that. I need to make a video on that, because every once in a while I usually figure it out, but I like start messing with it and I'm like, I haven't added it yet. And it just sort of, it's in no man's land. It's the best description of it. So is that helpful, guys? Yeah. Anybody else have any other mobile app questions or anything? And the one here, the bottom right with the plus mark, this is a global library search. So this is really cool. Notice I'm in the waste pipe and discharge section. Well, I can come up in here and put GFCI inconsistent, and it's going to start searching through my comment looking. Look at that. It found like, this is the comment I wanted, inconsistent with modern standards. So now that, see how this is now stuck. It's not quite in yet. I have to hit apply. But now I was in the waste piping section. I used the little global search, and I can now put a comment in about a GFCI that is missing next to my computer. That makes sense.
That comment will still that comment is still going to show up in the waste pipe section.
No, that's the beautiful thing, is it'll show up right where you want it in the electrical section. So Taylor,
wow.
you could be like on the exterior of the building and you run into a GFCI, right? And then you go use that little bottom right with the plus mark. That is a global library search, and that will insert that comment right where you want it. So watch, I'm going to hit the back arrow here, and now I'm back in my waste pipe section. And that comment magically showed up in right where we want it. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome, yeah.
So Dylan, if you find a defect and you don't have a comment for it in your global library, but you're in, say, the waste pipe section and you want to put something in the kitchen, is there a way to do that? Or do you just have to take a picture and fix it later?
Well, you can take a picture and caption it, or just go into the kitchen. And then, like if it was with the kitchen cabinets, you just go there and you hit add observation. Is this answering your question, TJ?
Yeah, but so like I don't want to fiddle that much with it in the field.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Well, the tips that I gave you guys on workflow are all designed around avoiding having to navigate within the app a ton, because I don't mind navigating to places once, but I don't want to have to like keep going back to something. It just drives me crazy, And I think if you can, by committing to doing some stuff on the desktop, you eliminate a lot of that going back and forth between a certain comment or a certain section in your template. Is that helpful, TJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sort of why I just, if I have to keep going back there, like lost seals, and I keep bumping into them, take a picture and caption where I saw it. Lost seal in the master bedroom, and I'll just deal with it later. And I just think, I don't think that's a scribeware or even a template issue. It's just sort of like a global home inspector problem of like, when you keep bumping into different stuff that's scattered all over the house, it's just tricky, How do you handle that, Mike? You get them almost done on site. How do you handle the HVAC system when you keep bumping into different pieces of it all over the place?
Well, I do basically what I said earlier is I just make a open observation, and I just take the photos and put them in with the captions, and then I can just go back and give myself a little bit more time to think exactly what I'm looking at and what I need to say instead of trying to do it there.
But what I hear you saying is you'll often maybe make an observation just to group all your pictures in that spot, and then you'll just finish writing it later.
I don't really like just taking photos and putting them in the gallery. I'm not a fan of doing it that way, because then I have to go look, and then I got to start dragging things around and stuff. So if I'm in cabinets and countertops and there's just a lot of things that say, I just go and I'll hit the
add
the observation. I'll start throwing the photos in with the captions right there.
Yeah.
And
even if you don't caption them, you can just dump all those pictures in, and at least all the pictures are right in the right section, you know. And then here's the flag, guys. See right next to the trash can, there's that little flag. I just turned it red. But
so that just kind of categorizes everything, puts everything together where I know that I don't have to be getting back to the office and going through the gallery trying to find the ones that I want to put together.
That's a nice technique. I mean, isn't it amazing? Like, it's just, there's so many different little techniques you can use to start kind of tweaking your process. And to me, they really do have to adjust with just the realities of the day, of how busy you are and how many clients are there and how complicated the house is and all that kind of stuff.
And, you know, like when you're in the photo editors, you know, you can throw various different photos into one photo instead of having 3 separate photos. You could actually have one photo with 3 photos in that one.
So Mike's talking about when you're back at the desktop, you can do picture in picture. Basically, if you have your pictures on a different screen, you can, when you're in that editing mode, you can drag a picture in. It's really pretty cool. I often, guys, with navigating to like, so that it doesn't, you know, Fred's comment is his guy was like, if I do that, I'm not inspecting anymore. And I have that problem too, if I get too deep in the app. So more often than not, I do take pictures and caption them. And then I'll come back and I'll hit, you know, slab surface and wood laminate. And then, you know, maybe I'll find my comment, you know, loose tile and failing grout. And then I work from the gallery. So the gallery is the little icon just to the right of the camera. And I'll see it, Taylor. I guess there's no media here because I've used them all in the report. So I can come up here and say show used. Now I've got all my media. You see how that works? Show hidden, show hide used, show used. So now I can grab a couple images like that and put them in. So that's actually how I prefer working. I really like working from the gallery on the mobile app. So I do, you know, there's certain things like if I'm in my heating section, up here, like the data plate, for example, I do like just putting the comment right in, or the picture. So, you know, here's the data plate. I'll go boom, boom, boom. Snap a picture of the data plate. And I've got that all attached. But often I'm actually working on the mobile app from my gallery into the comment. And that's just my technique. I mean, everybody's got to find their own sort of comfort zone with it. That helpful, guys? Little bit of stuff on the mobile device.
Yeah, you just triggered a thought I'm going to have to play with this week. I've got a vacant house that we're going to do some videos at, but because of the global search, I never realized what that button was.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do an inspection on that house and just stay on the general comments section and maybe work off of that button in for putting in defects and taking gallery photos and see if that makes it faster.
Yeah, it's totally worth a try. Just put everything in the gallery and then you can hit this. I think the one thing, the key thing that will slow you up at certain times is like all the keyword searches. There's certain comments I can retrieve really well with keyword, but other ones where they're all muddled with like freaking thousands that are so too similar, you know? So that's the one thing that's going to slow you up. So you just, But if you can get a good keyword to retrieve the comment you want, then it's perfect. You know, it's really fast.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I had a composition roof comment and I put in composition, like this is not going to help me enough. I'm going to have like freaking dozens of comments to scroll through, you know?
yeah.
But
Somebody with a photographic memory would have a field day with
oh
it.
my
because-
God, right? You could like have a little code, like a numbered code or something like
Yeah.
X49, you know, and like pull up the comment you want. Yeah, that would be freaking awesome. I'm trying to, here's a gunny sack on the mobile device. They get a little wild, but you can do them, you know. Pretty neat, but I just find it a little easier to navigate the gunny sacks when I'm on a desktop rather than a mobile. But it depends how many things there are. That Windows one's not very long. That's an easy one to do. And I'm kind of avoiding the really long ones on the gunny sacks are too complicated for me. I prefer photo captions to bullets personally, but I like that Windows one is like the total gunny sack honey hole for me. And then I'm using the gunny sack more and more for those little nuanced comments that I can add onto a comment. I absolutely love that because I can not use it, or I can have a whole list of these little subtle slight tweaks on the comment that you can add. It's freaking awesome. All right, let's see. Cool, guys. Well, is that helpful? I think.
Yeah.
It's been very helpful for me as the newbie. Anybody else have how they approach it from the, walking up to the house with a mobile app that varies from Dylan's?
Oh, I have trouble writing and focusing. I'm kind of new too. So what I end up doing is just taking a whole ton of photos, voice to text caption, and then I'll come back home and write my report from my photo library.
Yeah, and I'm as far away from Dylan as imaginable. I don't use the app on site. But that's
Yeah. Charles and I are kind of in the same boat right now, but I want to play with it to speed stuff up.
Yeah, and honestly, if I didn't have, for me, the client was always there.
Yeah.
Almost 100% of the time. So that's their time. Dylan's doing mostly where the client isn't there. So that's a huge difference.
Well, and I'm shifting from the report format that I've used most of the last 26 years. It evolved through the years, but because of the mobile, I'm looking for trying to shorten some time, but I'm a lot like Dylan in that if I had my way, I'd always have the client there in a buyer's inspection. And then I don't mind taking the 2-3 hours to put the report together. My note taking for years has been my camera. I don't necessarily use, I may use 2/3 of the pictures, but I'm looking at them going, okay, that's just my note taking. So for years, I just did my clipboard and note taking, and now the clipboard's still there, but most of my note taking is photographs. But now I'm trying to see how to employ the mobile app and I think Dylan's early list of the easy ones to knock off, the electrical and the water heater and those things
So-
where you're
Yeah,
making
all the documentary kinds of stuff is a no brainer. I think as long as it isn't an interference.
I think you also have to look at how is it you want to design your template. It's a lot of different between designing a template that's going to be fast on mobile versus what you're going to be more concentrated and working on the desktop.
That's really
So
true.
we've made ours more customized for the mobile, and it's not quite. I like to be able to use the tab key to move from field to field very quickly on the desktop, but when you set it up certain ways, the tab key does not move from field to field like you would expect it to. So it's a little different there, and you just have to learn which one do I want to design it for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a good point, Mike. I mean, it really is like, it's such a, with that presentation that I gave, I kind of skipped a little bit of the beginning stuff about your business model. And it's like, that's such a huge part of like, all right, what kind of business am I going to do? Like, how much am I charging? How much detail am I putting in? Because then your template starts dictating that. And then to Mike's point, like, how much do I want to use a mobile app? So like, Fred's struggling to start using it more. And I'm with you, Fred. I did for a long time too. And
Yeah.
part of it's getting used to it, but also part of it is trying to tweak your template so that it's set up for it a little bit better. And my template was not originally designed for that. So I'm having to kind of like rejigger things so that it works better on the mobile,
And I got to tell you, on an actual inspection is not the time to do it.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I'll remember that.
It's almost not time to do anything.
Well, yeah.
There's a house to look at.
And it's fun when you're like, okay, I think I understand the app because you've played with it in the office. And then you also have your intern with you.
Yeah.
You got your client there, which you forget that client it's an investor client, which the only investor client I have that pulls me in 10 different directions at once and still is going to call me with 30 questions after the inspection.
Yeah,
that was not the day to try to figure out the app in the field and how we're using it. And that's when it's like, okay. And for me, with some of the area we serve, we either have a lot of space around the house or we have no space around the house. And there's no camera that's
nowhere to hide.
Yeah. And there's the problem is it's being worked on. I know Steve's working on a better emulator for the camera, but for us with the iPhone, trying to shrink the picture down to that 0.5 size to get, a side elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, so you guys, I think everybody knows this, but it's costing us a small fortune, but we're having the developer of the app try to improve it so that it's closer to the native camera. Because right now you just can't zoom out enough in the Scriber, the one that's attached to the Scriber. You can't zoom in or out you can, but it's more limited. The range is not as good as what's built into the device, which is super frustrating. So anyway, we're working on that. But, I must say from a workflow standpoint, Fred, if you can get it to where you're taking the pictures on the mobile app and then filling in just the description, and taking the picture.
Yeah.
Like that alone speeds you up a lot, and it helps you make sure you've checked everything,
Well, it's also going to be a lot quicker now that having this meeting tonight reminded me the photos are also going to a file on my computer because we've got to take the files from the phone, upload them to Dropbox, take the Dropbox file, upload it to the laptop, and then we can put it into there's 20 minutes, 30 minutes right there of unnecessary upload.
Yeah, you shouldn't need. Go ahead, Mike.
Can I give you? I've dealt with these problems many times, and I've come to a couple of conclusions. And Steve was talking about how to make things quicker on the mobile, and then Fred's talking about that problem with all the photos going to Dropbox and all that. If you're not going to use Scribeware Mobile to do that, there's like right now, if you're doing an inspection where I'm at, it's 15 degrees outside. I'm not going to sit out there probably, and my fingers are frozen trying to hit the camera all the time and looking for all these comments. I may want to just move on quickly and get out of there where I can, get to a place where I can be warm. But if I'm not using the mobile, I would advise you that you really look into using OneNote to do what you're talking about, because that way it synchronizes to your laptop, your desktop. You don't have to go and you don't have to throw them in the Dropbox. You could do everything right there and bring them straight in by just hitting one button.
So I take it you're on an Android phone, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on an Apple phone with a Windows PC.
Okay, well, you can still use an Apple phone with OneNote.
Oh,
they have OneNote available, so you can set up a template in your OneNote and just say, exterior, left side, front side, whatever, And you can just take all the pictures, you can add audio notes, and you can, when you get back to the office, just click say export. It throws all that stuff into a folder, and now you're ready to start putting them into.
And then you
Scriber.
can just drag that folder. Do you drag it folder by folder into Scribeware, or like?
No,
I guess-
no, you just open up in your Explorer and your file Explorer,
Yeah,
and you just bring them over or go to Scribeware
that's pretty
and
cool, Mike.
select it right there and say, this is the folder I want to use. And there's all your photos right there for you.
That's awesome.
Save you a lot of time.
Mike,
You can-
you're our resident app expert. That's awesome, man. We got to get a video on that. That's really, that's interesting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I use OneNote every day on different things.
Charlie, that almost seems like it'd work for you, but you could have it like, I don't know if you drag that folder then into PowerPoint or whatever, you know?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I'm just going to send Mike a pair of the gloves we've been getting, which they've got 2 fingers that open up, just the tips, so we can use them and our hands
Nice.
stay warm.
Hey, it's really easy to get photos into PowerPoint. It's the time it takes to play with them.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Yeah.
Well, that's because Charlie's artistic.
Yeah. Stubborn is more like it.
Do you want to see what OneNote looks like? I mean,
That would be
Sure.
awesome if
Yeah.
I can show you real quick if
Here, let me get you in here, Mike. I gotta find my controls. All right. Making you a co-host, Mike.
okay.
So back to that glove thing. I was at Home Depot last week, and this guy that worked there was scrolling on my phone using a gloved hand, and I was like, "How would you do that?" They actually sell gloves that are sensitive, so you can have all your fingers covered.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought some. They're pretty
Are
cool.
those? I mean, I use those sort of gray, like I think they're called like nitrile or something, and they're not
Oh.
very insulated, but those things are awesome. I mean, you can like tie your shoes and like I can work on the mobile app and stuff. Those are nice.
So
So that's your OneNote application right there. These are your notebooks that you create. These are sections that can be whatever job that you want. For instance, here we go.
you're just talking Microsoft OneNote.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that in OneNote.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, you go in here, you go new construction. These are pages that I've got for certain things.
Dude, that's awesome, Mike.
Here's here's photos. If you just down here, you can come down, you can look at your photos you take. So these are areas that I've stopped by, taken shots and information on jobs, and I do it real quickly, and then I can get back to the office. And then you just go up over here and say export to a folder, and then all your photos go into that folder, and now you're ready to go straight into Scribeware. So
I didn't know. I didn't know you could take photos in OneNote.
Oh yeah, you can do photos. You cannot do video directly into it, but you can import videos into OneNote.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a workhorse. It does everything.
The only thing we still have to import then for us is our roof photos, because we use a roof camera system. We use the iStick with
Right. That's what we use.
I absolutely love that thing. I love having my current intern / part-time inspector on that, because my workers' comp went drastically down as soon as I told them nobody's allowed to climb a ladder except me, other than an attic.
So you can do this here on every photo. You can put this by just hitting the button, puts this little green box, and you can change that whatever you want. But that way you can label each photo. Then I'll take that and throw it into Scribeware if I'm in a hurry.
That's cool, Mike. So do you
I
have
like
both
that.
Scribeware and OneNote open then when you're working or on a job?
I can't. Well, if I'm going to use one or the other, but if it's pouring down rain, let's say, and I don't want to go through all the stuff, I'll just open OneNote and I'll put in a new page, a new section for the job, and I'll just start taking photos, and then I'll make a voice note, and then I'm done. and I'm ready to get back to Scribeware, and then I can throw all my information in.
Can you make a voice note and have it attached to the picture?
It will no, it will not attach, I don't think. But
So you can't give it like
will
a photo caption, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's a fantastic little program.
But you could still take any of those pictures and do a screen capture of it, right?
Yeah, if you want to do it that way, but all you have to do is actually go into let's see if I can get this thing out of the way. If you go to File, this thing is in my way, File right here, and you can actually go here and you can say Export, and it will throw all your photos into a folder, and that folder then you can take straight into Scribeware.
Cool.
So now you don't have to go to OneDrive or Dropbox or anything.
So do you just make a new notebook for each house then when you're doing this?
Yeah.
Can you save that template with all the different like exterior, roof, and all that stuff?
Yes.
Or do you have to
Yes, you
rebuild
can.
that every time?
No, you create a template and you can save that and use it every time.
Slick, Mike. That's killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I know what I'm stealing this week.
And isn't that the truth? That's like, I love this profession because I taught a report writing class down in Kentucky, and I opened it up with a riff from the Rolling Stones, but we're all like blues guys that just steal licks from each other,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We should all have nicknames like oh God, who wrote all Led Zeppelin songs? Like Willie Dixon. I could be Willie Dixon. Who are you then?
I'll be Muddy Waters. You can call me Muddy.
But they all stole from each other, whether it's even
Totally.
the Beatles stole early stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Anyway, well, fun meetup, guys. I appreciate it. I should probably keep moving on stuff, but Steve and I both appreciate all you guys' support, and fun to see a hardcore group of scribers on here. It's great.
Well, I have to say, I appreciate you and Steve as well. I'm only doing my seller's inspections right now with it, just because I'm far more comfortable. I don't have clients typically with me. So it's a really easy way to break myself into it and trying to figure out how to do it. But I can see, and a lot of what I saw and heard from everybody today should take some serious time off of it that I'm spending just trying to find my way around the software.
Hey, you can morph that into never having to deal with an agent. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, that could have been a benefit of COVID. Just, all you had to do was be there with a client.
Oh,
that
was the nicest thing.
Yeah. I mean, by yourself a lot. COVID really totally made it so that that's why I can use the mobile app so much. It's just not people there that often now, you're like, often I'm by myself, so I just do it, Another thing that's changed a lot, and maybe this is a little different for you, Charlie, but I mean, when I started, I was like, the client has to be there. And I started thinking about it. It's like, well, that's because my reports were so bad. It's like, Jesus, if I didn't tell them about what I was going to find, they were never going to figure it out. Whereas now it's like, these are so detailed. Like the client doesn't have to be there if they're willing to read a little bit.
Yeah, well, I morphed it into just doing a Zoom meetup with them and go through the whole report afterwards. There's no saying stuff you didn't mean at the inspection because you rethought about it or any of that. So I've been doing the Zoom. Doing them alone.
I totally agree with you, Charlie. I just think that if your point of view is that I want all that verbal stuff, it's just easier to like go through the report later via Zoom, and you'll have all your thoughts organized. Yep. You won't, how many times have we said something and then you find something later and you're like, oh, I guess I was.
Or you totally. I can't remember everything, and I'm not going to go back through 600 pictures to make sure I do it. It's.
But to me, and I've had that discussion with a couple of you. So much of this is educating the buyer the best we can on the house they're looking to buy. So, the bottom line is, how do we get to that point? And a report is a good percentage of it because that's the lasting record to them. But, you know, and Charlie doing the meeting with them afterwards gives the back and forth that when they're not there, we typically don't get. And that's, you know, because we just say something, even though we're trying to use both the language of building and materials as well as what they can understand it to be, usually builds on questions for them that can be a good direction to go. So I really love the Zoom, and I might rethink a couple agents that have kind of cut off just because they didn't want the clients around for various reasons. And if I could ensure that there was an opportunity for the Zoom, I like that. Thanks.
Yeah, whatever works to make them feel like they've been taken care of. It doesn't matter whether they're live or via Zoom. I heard a lot of them that like the Zoom better because you're not rushed. You don't have an agent chopping down, trying to wonder why you're taking so long or any of that. It all goes
You don't
away.
have three people. You don't have three people in the bathroom when you're trying to take a look what's going on in there.
And the inspection is quicker, easy. It goes faster. So,
and you combine, like, if you get the mobile app down, the data collection is better. You've got this like template with all these check marks of stuff you're supposed to be thinking about, and you start clicking those, and it like triggers you, like, oh, I gotta look for that. I gotta remember that. So like that combination of the mobile app and not having people there, I can just kill it. I can do really detailed reports that I've never been able to do, really. Like that combo is better.
I'll probably never forget another laundry room.
That's right. Well,
I was working hard to use a mobile app. I was there by myself at an inspection the other day. In fact, it was the one I was getting the help from Steve from. And near the end, some good friends of mine who are the agents, I've been working with them since she got started in the business some 20 years ago. All of a sudden, I got sidetracked and talking. I had to make a separate trip back to the damn house. I'm glad it wasn't too far away. But because I got talking and I'm not using your checklist yet. So that would have...
It helps, man. It really helps to like make sure you, and we've got some improvements we can make on the mobile side too, but we're getting close to having that just bomb proof.
So what we've been doing with clients lately is I've been telling them come for the last 45 minutes. Last 45 minutes. Used to be we carried coloring books and crayons in the truck for when people brought their kids to keep them busy and out of my hair. Now I give them to the realtor so they stay out of my hair.
I just have never liked that repeat at the end. It's like you're doing the inspection all over again.
It is, yeah.
No, I just walk them around and go, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Everything else is good. Have a nice day. Oh, by the way, where's my money?
Well, and also, I mean, it's hard, you know, a lot of people aren't comfortable on Zoom. They don't know how to do Zooms and stuff. So there's some limitations to it.
Lots of stuff. Yeah.
All right, guys. But I've got a jet, but it's been great seeing everybody. And I hope that was the presentation kind of good. I mean, the guys in New England loved it, man. Geez, that went really well. People like that whole thinking of the workflow, you know?
Massachusetts. Yeah.
I got to get back to my basement.
Hey,
I got to get to the beach.
Oh, I'm jealous. All right. See you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you all on Sunday.